And thank you for opening up the college here. And actually, the air conditioning, it's just fine. I came from the desert, so this is literally jacket weather in here, so I'm fine. I don't know about you guys. Thank you for those that are attending. Sorry it seems a little formal here. We wanted to, it's a casual conversation. This is an opportunity for me to learn and to hear from folks. I appreciate all the panelists that are willing to give their time so we can listen. And it's a conversation about career technical education, where we are, where we're going, thoughts, feedback, all of those. So I did just a few brief remarks. I've been on the education committee. I'm in the State Assembly in my 6th year. The first 2 years I was on the Education Policy Committee. In the last 4 years I've been on the Education Finance Committee of the Budget. And it's a great opportunity to participate in our education system. Education spending is the #1 part of the budget for the state of California, and appropriately so. It is something that we should constantly focus on, constantly strive to improve. And with the great partners that we have throughout Riverside County, it's been a wonderful opportunity. And actually, I'm going to cheat for a second. When we talk about, a lot of times in Sacramento, when you talk about education, you're talking about K through 12 dominates a lot of the discussion, and higher ed dominates a lot of discussion, and the connection between K through 12 and higher education. Well, a lot of that, we talk about A through G, the courses that you take to prepare you, make sure you're preparing kids for higher education. And that's good, and that's a good goal. But we also must always remember that most of the students will not be graduating from higher education. They have to be going on to higher education. So we have to think about those kids. Think about what are we doing to prepare them. Well, the last thing we want to do is to discourage kids that are in school. It's tough enough being a teenage and adolescent and the trials and tribulations that go on in the teenage world. I got a lot of kids, so I know, and you really want to make sure there's hope. The dropout rate is too high, and as we all know the stories of dropouts, life does not go well after that. So we need to really focus on keeping kids in school and allowing them to see light, allowing them to see a pathway out of high school into a career. For the ones that we're talking about that are not going to that 4-year university, how do they see, yes, if I do this, I will have a job, I will have a career, I can provide for my family. That's really important for us to vigilantly and constantly think about. And I think that's, as I said, to repeat myself, I think that's very important, but a part that we want to talk about here tonight is not only the experiences here in the area, and I don't know if many of you probably remember in high school, at least I do, our high schools had a vigorous career tech program right on campus. We had metal shop, wood shop, auto shop, a lot of things, and it was really a focus for many, many years in California schools, and that's kind of dissipated. And so and I understand there's a lot of reasons why money is a big part of it, also changing workplace, a changing economy. So how do we then prepare for that new economy? How are we matching the jobs that are out there with the skills that our kids have coming out of school? That's very important. So I think that's what a lot of the conversation is here today. And really it's hopefully just a conversation, a back and forth between ideas. And I just appreciate the fact that I'm willing to learn from hearing these ideas. And hopefully as a community we can all learn and add to the discussion here. And so with that, before I turn it over, I want to recognize Crystal Ruiz, who I see right here from the City of San Nestande. Thank you for coming, Crystal. Councilwoman Ruiz. And John Norman back there in the back, San Nestande Unified School District. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Any other elected officials in the audience? Just want to recognize real quickly if so. If not, oh, well, please tell. What are you running for?
I'm Vanessa Sheldon, and I'm a music teacher here at Mount San Jacinto College, and I'm running for the Palm Springs United School Board, Unified School Board Trustee Area 4, and it's a pleasure to be here.
For Palm Springs Unified?
Palm Springs Unified, yeah.
Oh, very good.
CT is one of my goals, so I'm really looking forward to hearing what everyone has to say tonight.
Well, great. Well, thank you for coming up, and best of luck. important to our process at People, because it's not easy to do, folks. It's not easy to put your name on the ballot like that, but it's important that people are willing to do so. So with that, can I turn it over to, I think we're just going to have kind of a conversation here, but I'd start and just really appreciate Ken Young for taking the time, because he's been a real leader in the education community here at Riverside County, and is on the, well, please tell you're on the board for Superintendent Torlickson's, well, I'll let you tell. But it's important because we're changing the funding structure. This is part of the reason we're here today. We have a new funding formula from Sacramento down to school districts. And that's very important because it's all going to be lumped into more or less one budget, where before we had all these categories of spending. For many years you had 30 plus categories, I think it's been up to 50 categories of spending, where there were silos of spending. You've got to spend this way, this way. Now we're collapsing those categories, turning the money over to school districts, say, here's a chunk of money, do it, you prioritize what you want to spend money on. So I'm hoping that career technical education is maintained in our schools and it stays a priority with that competition for resources. And Ken Young, if you don't mind talking about that, since you're right in the middle of it, really appreciate it.
Well, Brian, let me just kind of back into that by going back a little bit. I'm going to go back to, if I could, just 1893, when our county was formed. We had about 1,240 students, and they were attending school in 120 different schoolhouses around the county. Most of our